All right, so we're gonna get into some folklore shit. We're gonna see about some. We're gonna see about this. Some of these urban myths, like I was saying before. Some of these crazy. What are some? Are there any crazy like urban myth stories that you know about that are like, I don't know, like things that you've heard at like camp or things that are like in your neighborhood? You know what I'm saying? Like they say, oh, there's this guy or there's this house or something. I'm trying to think. Like for me, growing up, there was always this cemetery near. It was called Oakwood Cemetery, and it was near one of the schools. Actually, it was near my elementary school, and that was said to be haunted. And there was always like this one statue. It's a big tombstone. It's huge. It's not it's like a crypt. It's like this big statue of an angel, and it's like they say at night her eyes bleed. She cries blood, and they say if she looks at you, she comes to get you. So that shit right there was like always like a spooky thing to do. Like, you know, like go to the cemetery late at night type shit and try to scare each other, you know, shit like that. He said, why is there a statue in my local cemetery with the same myth? We call her Bloody Mary. Oh my God. It might be the same person. It might be the same person, yo. I don't know if we call her Bloody Mary or not, and maybe, who knows, maybe that's just what the myths are, but that's literally this big statue. It's huge. Like you could see it in the day. Like obviously you could see it in the daytime. But when you see it in the daytime, it's like this big. Like I want to say like no, is it twice my height? Like no, it's probably like 8 feet, 10 feet tall. It's big. It might be 12 feet. It's huge. And yeah, that thing it's like big. The wings are like on its back. It's not like out winged like this. It's not a nun. It's an angel, because it has the wings that go down on its back, and it has like a staff or something that she holds. And that thing is like spooky as hell at night. At night it looks spooky as hell, I'm not gonna lie. It might be the same Bloody Mary for real. That's funny. All right, let's get into some of these folklores, urban legends that turned out to be true.
West Hobart is an inner-city suburb located in Tasmania, Australia.
Okay.
Over the years, dozens of allegations of supposed hauntings, ghost apparitions, and other paranormal activity have been made by tourists and residents of West Hobart.
Mm-hmm.
And it's honestly not too hard to see why, as West Hobart is a pretty old town with a generally creepy vibe. As is usually the case, most of these stories have either turned out to be fake, or the people.
I just say that. Yo, I'm sorry. I literally just say that in general, like, because again, that's just my. But I almost forgot.
Didn't have enough evidence. Most of these stories have either turned out to be fake, or the people making the allegations didn't have enough evidence to support their claims, which makes it almost entirely likely that they're hoaxes. But as it turns out, at least one of these stories actually has some amount of truth to it.
Some amount.
Back in the late 80s and mid-90s, rumors started spreading of a house in West Hobart that was apparently so haunted it drove its residents insane.
Ooh.
At first, the rumors created a huge buzz all over town, with the locals doing everything possible to stay far away from the alleged haunted house. It wasn't until months later that the authorities got involved and finally got a clear picture of the situation. While it was true that the house's residents appeared to be going insane, it didn't have anything to do with paranormal activity, but with the fact that a datura vine had been growing through the trees directly above the home and dropping leaves into the family's rainwater tank.
Yeah.
For a long time, the family had been inadvertently consuming microdoses of the plant every single day, which made them slowly but surely start to lose their sanity as they sank further and further into delirium.
God damn.
In case you've never heard of it, Datura is a species of plant within the nightshade family, also known as Jimson weed, the devil's weed, or devil's trumpet, and you'll see why in a second.
They was getting
Even
high
though the
off
plant
that
itself
bitch.
looks pretty harmless, it's known for having extremely powerful hallucinogenic properties, which is
God
why it was
damn.
used for centuries by Native American tribes in coming-of-age rituals and other important ceremonies.
What the fuck?
The Aztecs also used Datura as a painkiller in certain rituals, namely in ritual sacrifices, and it's also commonly used as an ingredient in the ritual of zombification in the Haitian voodoo religion, where it's referred to as the devil's cucumber. As you can probably tell by now, Datura isn't your typical recreative hallucinogen, and there's a reason why it's really
And it's
only ever
just
used in hardcore
growing
spiritual
over their
rituals and
house.
ceremonies, and sometimes by naive people who have no idea what they're getting themselves into. In low to medium doses, Datura causes extremely distressing, delirious experiences, and in higher doses it can lead to paralysis and even death. Nowadays, Datura is recognized by most tribes as a highly toxic and dangerous plant, and have understandably stopped using it. Cropsey. If you were to somehow go back to the 70s and spend some time in Staten Island, it probably wouldn't take you long to hear about an urban legend of a man named Cropsey. As the
Cropsey.
story went, Cropsey was a serial kidnapper and killer who lost his son and resorted to stealing other people's children to deal with
See,
his
this the type of shit
According to
here.
the legend, Cropsey also had a hook for a hand, scars, burns, and open wounds covering his entire face and body, and a generally horrifying appearance.
Yeah, this is a real
Considering
urban
the
legend
mass
here,
areas
boy.
of uninhabited woodlands, it's not all that unexpected that a tale like the legend of Cropsey would make it into the mainstream culture at some point. Unfortunately, this wasn't just a tall tale made up by Staten Island parents to keep their kids from venturing too far into the woods and getting lost.
Fucking A.
Although the legend has some obviously made-up elements, such as the hooked hand and the horrifying scars and burns, at some point in the early 70s, children in Staten Island really did start disappearing. That's when the line between legend and reality started to blur, and the story of the real Cropsey immediately replaced the urban legend. This is the real story. Andre Rand was a man from Manhattan who was born in
Fucking A.
1944
He
and
looked
moved to
like a
Staten Island
Cropsey.
in the late 60s. After working for 2 years at the infamously brutal Willowbrook State School for Children with Disabilities, Rand was arrested in 1969 and served over a year in prison for the attempted attack of a 9-year-old girl. As soon as he was released 16 months later, reports started cropping up of more little girls disappearing all over Staten Island, including
Cropping up?
5-year-old Alice Pereira, who was playing in her building's lobby when she suddenly disappeared without a trace. Over the next decade, Rand was the prime suspect in the disappearances and deaths of several other young girls in the area. But it wasn't until 1983 when he picked up 11 kids from a local YMCA and brought them fast food before taking them to the airport that he was finally arrested and sentenced to 10 months in prison again.
10
Throughout
months.
the 70s and 80s, dozens of young kids disappeared in Staten Island, and although Rand was often the last person to
Bro,
be seen with them, there was
he got
ultimately
a
never enough
month?
evidence to put him away for a
He
long
got like
time.
9 months per
For
kid.
many years,
What
he
the
would often
hell?
be seen hanging around young
I mean,
kids, going on walks with them, and even taking them to
Point
lunch and dinner
nine-
with him at local restaurants.
Hold up. I sound like an idiot. I'm gonna let you know right now. I am I'm a little stoned, but that was stupid. I was trying to say he got like 0.9 of a month per kid. Like whatever. Let's just keep going.
After years of letting him walk the streets as a free man, police would finally have a breakthrough in the case in 1987 when they found undeniable evidence that Rand had been behind the disappearance and murder of Jennifer Schweiger, a 12-year-old girl with Down syndrome.
Oh man.
In 1988, he was sentenced to
He was
25
just
years to
taking everybody.
life, and while he was behind bars, more and more evidence was
Jesus
found that tied him to
Christ.
several other disappearances in Staten Island in the 70s and 80s. Unfortunately, he was only charged with one additional major crime in 2004, which was the kidnapping of Holly Ann Hughes, thanks to which he will spend the next 13 years behind bars until 2037. If he lives that long, he'll be 93 by the time he gets out.
All right, this next
The
story.
Maine Hermit.
The
The
Maine
Kennebec Valley
Hermit.
is one of the most beautiful regions in Maine, with over 5,000 square miles of forests, rolling hills, and natural paradise surrounding the Kennebec River. Many cabin owners of the North Pond area in the Kennebec Valley have described the area as the most peaceful place on Earth. But it hasn't always been that way. All throughout the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s,
It seemed like the
there were
80s and the 90s is just filled with a whole bunch of bullshit, scary shit. Why is it the 80s and 90s that's so spooky? I guess it's because people were actually outside.
Reports of over 1,000 break-ins in the North Pond cabins. For decades, nobody knew who was responsible for the thefts, especially since they were always carried out when there was no one home. As the cabin owners soon noticed, the break-ins seemed to follow a pattern, always peaking in the days before Memorial Day and after Labor Day. As for the stolen items themselves, they ranged from food, to cooking utensils, to books, to propane tanks, to toiletries of all kinds. In the absence of a concrete suspect, the locals eventually named the thief the North Pond Hermit, even though by this point there was nothing to suggest the break-ins were being carried out by a single person. Although it wasn't uncommon for groups of homeowners to venture out into the woods to try to find the North Pond Hermit, they never found a trace, which only added to the legend's mystery. One afternoon in 2002, 100 people attended a North Pond homeowners meeting, and when someone asked how many of them had suffered break-ins, almost all of them raised their hands. As you can probably guess, the North Pond Hermit quickly turned into somewhat of a boogeyman, with the legend frequently being shared over campfires in the area.
Ooh, shit.
For years, nobody thought that the person or people behind the break-ins would ever be found. But in April 2013, a man named Christopher Thomas Knight was arrested in the middle of the woods in the North Pond area by an officer who had made it his sole mission to bring the thief to justice. As soon as he was brought to the police station, the cops asked him why he wasn't answering any of their questions. At first, it seemed as though he was having trouble speaking, but eventually he responded that he was ashamed of himself. As it was later revealed, Christopher had been living out in the middle of the woods by himself in an unheated nylon tent, surviving only on the things he stole from nearby North Pond cabins. Shockingly, he had survived winter temperatures of 20 degrees below zero for years and hadn't been to a doctor or taken any medicine for 3 decades. What's most incredible about the hermit's story is that for the entire time he lived in the woods, he didn't have a single conversation with another human being, except for one time when he ran into a hiker and only said hi. Understandably, Chris had lost interest in keeping track of time, so when he was asked how long he had been in the woods by himself, he replied, since the Chernobyl nuclear meltdown, which took place in 1986. As investigators later found out, he was 20 years old when he decided to become a hermit, just a couple of years after high school, although he never gave the authorities a real reason why he decided to disappear. In all his years of isolation, he went to extreme lengths to preserve his privacy.
So they
he
knew.
Never lit fires, only moved at night.
Because how would they know it's a hermit
that's communication with the rest of society for more
that's
than
stealing stuff? Life. Why is it not a burgling ring?
He'd never driven a car,
like a burglar
sent an email,
ring.
Or even known what the internet was until his arrest. Interestingly, as the cops dug deeper and deeper into his story, they realized that his only real possessions were his glasses, which he had been wearing for 30 years and could even be seen in his Lawrence High School yearbook picture from 1984. Everything else, down to his underwear and jacket, had been stolen. After the investigation, Knight was sentenced to 7 months in prison, after which he once again disappeared. According to the cops, he's now living a quiet, peaceful...
Josh Avelli, crew, what's going on, my boy? Appreciate you pulling up to the chat. We getting spooky up in this bit. We watching some spooky stories, man. I hope you stick around, watch some spooky shit with us, bro. We going crazy all month long. We got a crazy spooky series. I hope you chilling with us. We gonna get real spooky. We just seen this guy, the hermit. He's out here stealing stuff. We're looking at crazy urban legends right now.
Of a
So grab some popcorn.
Purple
it's getting spooky, bro.
Surface in the northwest of England.
How you been doing though, Josh Avelli? I know you've been out there killing it on the skate.
Of Liverpool, hunting down young,
in all the games for real. You've been going crazy with the edits too.
He asked them if he would let them feel their muscles. If they complied, he would allegedly squeeze their muscles for much longer than was considered socially acceptable, and would then ask them to perform squats so he could feel their quad muscles.
You know what I'm saying?
Some teenagers reported that Purple Aki even went as far as to ask them to pose for him, and often offered exercise and nutrition advice for those who gave him the time. Because the rumors were so incredibly ridiculous, nobody really took them too seriously at first, and eventually the story of Purple Aki turned into an urban legend, with crazy details being gradually added to the tale. Including one where Purple Aki would allegedly swallow teenagers whole if they let him feel their muscles.
What?
But as time went on, it became clear that Purple Aki wasn't just a made-up character created by bored teenagers looking to get some laugh from their friends, but a real person named Akinwul Arobi.
Yo, a perm is crazy. Oh my god. Why you do my man perm like that? Yo, that's crazy. He said, I don't know why. That's cool. Yo, no
To
comment.
England by train
That's
carrying a plastic
crazy.
bag and asking young men if he could feel their muscles. Naturally, this made a lot of people uncomfortable, and it wasn't uncommon for Aki's face to be featured in local newspapers after several encounters with the law. Most of the accusations against him were related to his creepy behavior around teenage boys.
Sheesh!
But around 1986,
Look at this
the
motherfucker
story
just
of
standing
Purple
there.
Aki took a really dark turn. Early that year, 16-year-old Gary Keller was walking home from school
Nah,
when he
he
ran
looks-
into Purple
yeah,
Aki,
he
who
do look
immediately asked
scary.
to feel his muscles. Freaked out by the weird request, Gary said no and ran away. Later that same year, Aki followed Gary to a local outdoor swimming pool, and when the teenager noticed, he ran to New Brighton train station and jumped onto the railroad tracks to get away from Aki. Sadly, the story ended in tragedy,
What is
as Gary was
happening
accidentally
here?
electrocuted by one of the rails. Considering the whole thing happened because Gary was being chased, Purple Aki was convicted of involuntary manslaughter, charged with harassing 14 different teenage boys, and sentenced to 2.5 years in prison. In 1988, Aki filed an appeal and complained that the only reason he had been convicted was because he was black.
I'm glad he said it and I didn't. I'm just gonna say this real quick. I just want to say this real quick. This motherfucker, even if he was running after someone, okay, he was running after someone. Now, if he was running after them, that's bad. But what I'm saying is, it's not like he had 11 kids with him going on an airplane going to freaking Epstein's Island and getting 10 months for it. That's all I'm saying. Just make it make sense.
Ultimately, the judges
2
agreed
years.
there wasn't enough
Come
evidence
on,
to
bro.
prove Aki had been directly responsible for Gary's death, and believe it or not, he was freed and awarded £35,000 in compensation.
That's right.
Between
right.
1988 and 2006, Aki went in and out of jail for failing to resist his compulsion to touch, feel, and measure other people's muscles.
Okay,
and
yeah.
in 2003, he was arrested for an additional 15 charges of harassment and witness intimidation, for which he was sentenced to 6 years in prison. Just like any other predator, he was also forbidden from waiting outside schools in the area.
I mean, yeah.
A few months later, he was jailed for 15 months for getting up to his same antics.
Yeah, I mean, that's
On
a
his
little...
release, he was once again arrested a few weeks later in 2010, and then again in 2015.
Yeah, I mean, come on,
After
bro.
his latest release, he reportedly moved to Leeds, where rumors started cropping up that he had passed away during the pandemic.
Oh, man. Rest
However,
in peace.
those rumors were put
But,
to
I
rest
mean-
when videos started surfacing in 2023 of Aki walking the streets of Leeds asking
Bomba
random dudes
clot!
to, you guessed it, feel their muscles. As of today, Purple Aki is alive and well, and will probably continue in his same behavior with or without permission for many years to come.
He's clearly got a mental issue. He's clearly got some mental issues or something like that because, let's see, you said, we all know I wouldn't do that for real. Wouldn't do all that for real. He be chilling. But that actually motherfucker is beyond crazy. Yes, he's beyond crazy. That's what I'm saying. Why they even let him out? That's what I'm saying, bro. Like, listen, once he keep going back, I mean, come on now. It's for the same thing. You gotta get this guy some help. You gotta get him some kind of mental help, something that can, or put him in a place where he can get some mental help. You know what I'm saying? Because clearly, he likes touching on people, and he's going to touch on people no matter what. Now, listen, I can understand now. Maybe okay, this is just part of your personality. Maybe you are a bodybuilder. Let's say like you're a bodybuilder and that's like your thing. Like you work out, and you're a professional. You're like a professional bodybuilder. Like you do contests and all these type of things, and that's what you're obsessed with. Like what if when you see someone walking down the street, you're like, hey man, oh I see you've been working out. But I mean touching people is where it gets a little crazy. But I mean touching people without their consent is not good. So we don't condone that. But I'm just saying, like, okay, imagine like you're a basketball player and you see people playing basketball. Like, you don't want to be like, hey man, let me see your jump shot. Like, I don't know if it works the same way. I'm just asking questions here. All right, what's this
According to a
next?
Swiss urban legend, people have allegedly been
Urban
running
legend.
into
Late
According
Loyan.
to a Swiss urban legend, people have allegedly been
Joshua
running
Belly,
into a
do you
mysterious
know
human-like figure
any urban legends? Like, do you know any spooky stories from, from the neighborhood, from the town? I know what you mean. I got you, bro. But do you know any like legendary, I mean not legendary, you know, any like scary legends? Yeah, like El Chupacabra, stuff like that. But like anything from
According to
local.
a Swiss urban legend, people have allegedly been running into a mysterious human-like figure in the Fribourg forest in the western part of the country near the town of Mals since the early 2000s. Based on the dozens of allegations that surfaced over the years, the figure has been described as being around 6 feet tall and always wearing a vintage-looking gas mask covering his entire face, a boiler suit, and a cloak.
That's
Most
pretty
people
scary.
who supposedly ran into the figure reported he or she was completely harmless, but this didn't make the encounters any less terrifying.
Hell
no. It
no.
wasn't uncommon for people to report the figure to the police when their children reported feeling scared.
Fuck no.
As expected, it didn't take local residents long to start adding their own crazy twist to the story, with some claiming that the creature was the ghost of a mentally unstable soldier, while other popular theories assured it was an alien.
I think I know what you're talking about,
For a
Josh
while, the story was
the
classified
bath
as
salts.
an urban legend, and the mysterious humanoid was given the name Lay
Do you remember when
also
they
known
were
as the ghost
smoking
or the
bath
Hermit
salts, and then the guy
throughout the early 2000s,
got shot by the
Lay Loyan
police
was
and
mostly
then
the subject
stood
of
back
local
up and
oral
kept
legend
walking.
because there was no real
There's a
evidence
video
to support
online.
its existence.
Yeah.
But in 2013, the story gained international attention when the Swiss/French newspaper Le Matin published the first ever photograph of Lay Loyan, which was sent in by a hiker.
Woo!
After the photograph was published, there was no turning back, as people from all over the country started to make trips to the woods outside Mals for a chance to catch a glimpse of Lay Loyan. The last known sighting of Lay Loyan took place in June 2013,
you see some shit like
when a local
that,
woman named Marianne Desclous saw the figure clutching a bunch of flowers as she was walking outside. Later that year, Lay Loyan's clothes were found in the middle of the woods along with a wooden note titled "The Death Certificate and Will of the Ghost des Mals." In the letter, Lay Loyan accused the media of having murdered a harmless being by revealing its existence and turning him into a circus freak. The letter also mentioned that due to the unwanted attention, Lay Loyan had to abandon its daily walks, which were referred to as happiness therapy in the letter. After the cryptic note was published in the newspaper, many people concluded that Lay Loyan had taken its own life, although this has never been confirmed. As of 2024, nobody has ever seen Lay Loyan's true face.
Damn.
Many people have theorized that the figure was possibly a woman with a facial disfiguration who didn't want people to see her, which is supposedly why she wore the gas mask.
Oh my
But
gosh.
this line of reasoning will probably remain unconfirmed forever.
What the fuck?
Hey man.
The Bunny Man.
In
See,
the
this is the
early
type of
70s,
shit. This
dozens
is the
of
type of
locals
shit.
started
The
reporting
Bunny
that a
Man.
dressed
This
up as
sound like
bunny
a
had started haunting the residential neighborhoods around
Yeah.
DC, Maryland,
This
and
sound
Northern
like some
Virginia.
shit, boy.
Although dressing up as a bunny in itself seems pretty harmless, what made the encounters a little scarier was that the guy would allegedly threaten children on the street with an axe and frequently vandalize people's property for no apparent reason. Even though sightings
In
of
those
the
Metro
so-called bunny
games,
man
yeah.
are pretty rare, they seem to follow
In
a
like
pattern, as the man
Borderlands,
usually appeared in
I think
secluded
Borderlands,
locations where there weren't a lot of
yeah,
witnesses.
in Borderlands.
The story itself has a lot of elements of a typical urban legend and is kind of hard to believe, but through my research I found that it's all loosely based on a true story. In 1970, a couple was parked in a driveway close to a bridge on Colchester Road in Fairfax County when suddenly a random guy appeared out of nowhere, yelled at them for allegedly trespassing, and threw a hatchet at their car. Terrified, the couple left the area immediately before they had a chance to get a good look at the guy. As they reported the incident to the police, they mentioned the guy had been dressed in light-colored clothing and may or may not have been wearing something white on his head.
Okay.
Although the couple
a
never
bunny
mentioned anything
outfit.
about a bunny in their statement, as soon as the story hit the news, people started claiming that the hatchet thrower had been wearing bunny ears. Pretty soon, rumors of a man in a bunny suit threatening kids in the woods with a hatchet started surfacing all over the DMV area.
Fallout.
The
That's the
stories
game I'm
got
thinking of.
wilder and
Fallout.
harder to believe.
That's exactly the game.
Over
That's
time,
fine.
the legend of the bunny has become pretty mainstream, with the bridge on Colchester Road even being renamed as Bunnyman Bridge.
What?
As of the uploading of this video, the legend has now been standardized and goes something like this. In 1904, there was allegedly an asylum close to the bridge on Colchester Road. As soon as it was built, a bunch of Fairfax County residents started complaining about the idea of having an asylum full of mental patients so close to their homes, so the authorities supposedly put all the patients in a bus and transferred them to a nearby prison. But on the way to the prison, the bus crashed and all the patients escaped.
Bomba
As the story goes, a few hours later the cops had successfully located and brought back all the patients except for one guy by the name of Douglas Griffin. This is where the legend gets a little weird. Allegedly, the fugitive patient hid in the woods from the authorities for weeks.
Bomba
As the days went by and the cops did everything to find him, rabbit corpses started to appear in the middle of the woods, which led everyone to believe Douglas was eating bunnies to stay alive.
Oh,
Then, one Halloween night, a group of kids were hanging out near the bridge on
his
Colchester
shadow
Road,
scared
when
the
they
shit out of me
suddenly
just
saw
now.
a
I'm
blue
sorry.
orb flashing in midair. A second later, they were all strung up like bunnies hanging from the bridge.
What?
As the legend goes, if you go to Bunnyman Bridge on Halloween night at midnight, the same thing will happen to you. Obviously, none of this is true, but it just goes to show how much of an impact the story of the Bunnyman has had on mainstream Virginia, DC, and Maryland culture.
In those
Nowadays,
manhunt
there's
games.
even Bunnyman t-shirts, a Bunnyman horror movie franchise, Bunnyman beer, and everything in between. Needless to say, the area surrounding the railroad overpass near Fairfax
Classic.
Station is
Legendary.
now a major attraction for both tourists
Legendary.
and locals alike, and will probably remain that way for many years.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. Ooh. Okie dokie. All right. Those are the urban legends. Bunnyman was kind of crazy. Leloyan was interesting. Purple Al or whatever his name was, Purple Key or whatever his name was. He was a disturbed man. The Hermit was just a homeless guy. Cropsey, he was actually that's a crazy story. Kidnapping kid. This guy is out kidnapping tons of kids. Like, come on, bro. War Thunder, and then, oh yeah. They were getting high up in the house. Okay.